Hello, friends. Today we are going to learn about some of the most popular patterns, how you can use LLM. Um, Usually, what happens is LLMs are used everywhere, but then they're used in very unstructured way. So what we have to do is find the broad patterns, um, and then try to use it in our software development life cycle. That will be the proper way through which you can go and integrate, and that's how you get the reliability. So this is like an proper engineering problem, so you have to think in terms of design pattern and other stuff. That's what we are going to cover. Let's start with this. So if we talk about the design pattern, uh, Gang of Four comes to your mind, right? So that is where formally first time design patterns was introduced. There is a book on it which is very popular, and then we learn so much from it, right? So these are your factory patterns, your strategies, right? Your template patterns, and then so many other stuff, right, into various category. If we take same concept and then apply to the LLMs, there is a lot of similarity, and that's what we are going to learn into this. So first one, right, which everyone does, that's the simple chat pattern, right? And this is same as you open your browser and type in something and LLM returns. Same thing you can do with the API. So you put in the prompt, request goes over to the LLM, right? And then it returns this response, and then you show to the user. Very good to start with. Lots of POC actually works on this principle, and they are able to kind of get very far, right? And this is really good start, right? So how this might look into the code is something like this. Don't worry, I'm going to share the full code so that you can go and try this by yourself, right? You you get a handle to whichever LM you want to basically talk about. You put in your message, that's your message, and then you get your response back, and then here I'm trying to dump it, and it might basically show something like that. This is very important, right? So you're able to get the information in some way where you can show it to your user can look into this, and they can go and use it the way you want. Although this is a good start, but then if you want to start integrating this to do something meaningful, as we talk about the agents, or maybe you put this into your backend pipeline where you want to feed this information into some others function, right, where you take, for example, you look into the United States and then try to find out, oh, that is the GDP. Really, which sector did it drive, right? So if you want to do something like that, you need to put some structure around it. So what we do is, let's try to basically put some structure around it, right? So it might look something like this, right, where you have to do very minimal change, and that's the beauty of the LM. So you say countries by GDP, and then the key thing is you put reply in JSON. Now each LM, you pick it, maybe the OpenAI ones, the Anthropic, Gemini, Meta, or anything that you call, right? They support JSON natively, right? You can just put that line into your prompt, and then suddenly it will start returning things into JSON. Now, one thing what you see is it is able to do quite nice JSON, right? And as it is the JSON, it means you can parse it, and then you can create a proper data structure that can be passed to an API, and then you can go and create content out of it. So let's look into what does this JSON look like. So yeah, that's what you can see. Top 5 by GDP. Uh, Remember, here I have not told what structure of the JSON it is. So LM is smart enough to figure out, maybe I should create a attribute called top 5 countries by GDP, and create this sub object under that is made up of my rank, country, and the GDP. Very good. Good start. Oh, it did inject some of the note, right, as we call disclaimer. Okay. So we are able to move to next stage, right? So the first one was just doing a conversation in an unstructured way. The second one is, let's try to put some structure, and then here we are able to actually get to the JSON, right, as I told. And then for that, what you have to do is just small change in there, that's this stuff, and then you are able to get this one. This is good. Now, as you know, what is the next question coming to your mind, right? So next thing, what you say, oh, I don't want the LLM structure, right? Whatever it gives, can I put my own custom structure? Now, this is where this becomes quite interesting. This is where we start talking about your programming with the abstractions, your programming with the specification. It means you get output in this, you can validate it. If it doesn't return, you can reprompt this. So you'll be surprised how easy this is, right? So this was the second step we did. Now third is what we say, oh, I want in this format. You see, we just changed this. So we are calling this countries, right? Rather than the generic name that it gave. And then we have put this stuff, right? So let's go down. You do the same thing, just little change in the prompt, you fit that in, and now LLM kind of returns all this stuff back. If you look in terms of code, that is so easy, right? So the only change what you did is you included what is the response format, and then LLM is smart enough here, so I'm trying to use Gemini 2.0 Flash, and then it returns all this output. Really, isn't it cool? So we are able to get that. Let's see. Yeah, it got US, which is of course the big one, China, Japan, Germany, and the India. Very good. Okay. Now, next thing is say, wow, I'm able to do all this type safety and other stuff. Can I make my LM call now type safe, as it happens in the generic, right? So when you're putting string, so it is a list of string, not like list of object. When you put integer, it's a list of object. Same way, right? You put some custom object, you should be getting it in. Now we can get into that, right? So let's try to understand. Our interface is going to look into, I send the input, right? And then what it returns me is a GDP object. That's what we are going to look into. Pretty much same. We are going to take this JSON, convert into strong type object, and then return it. Very easy way of doing it. So I have written this API, right, which is available in GitHub, which you can pull in and then do it. Just look at this. What is the change? This stuff we have seen, right? So this is in the thing that we saw earlier. This thing we know. The only change is I now start telling, when you return me a chat, please return me this type, and all the magic happened behind this scene, right? So if you look in terms of really what does this interface of service look like, so this is what it is. That's the generic one what we saw, right? Now this is the type safe one, right? So where I send my conversation, and then output of that is a strong type object. I get this thing. Now I can interact with this API as I interact with anything. Tomorrow, the implementation of this could be anything, not just LLM. And I get all the type safety. The best thing is, when I go to my IDE and do dot, I'm going to get this value, and then I can get all the benefit of IDE features, right? Autocomplete and everything else. All those benefits are there. Okay, so far we started with simple text, added some structure, added our structure, and then added the type safety, right? That's where. Now, what is the next thing we should be doing there? You get it, right? We go to parameter based thing. Now I say, I should be able to pass some parameter as I do into JDBC, right? That's where the value comes in, right? Because I don't want to basically say I want to do 10 countries, 20 countries, 30 countries, or maybe into a region, right? I don't have to go and write the code again, right? I can make my prompt parameterize. That's what we are going to look into, taking all the inspiration from how JDBC prepare statement works, right? Just see here. I've added that parameter, right? I need this metrics and reply into this one, right? And then it goes, and then LM understand that. Let's look, what does this prompt look like, right? That's the parameter we are introducing, telling get me top X country by GDP reply in JSON. Remember, that's the only change we are doing. Now, we prepare that conversation, as you might see, into JDBC prepare statement and pass that in, and then it returns the whole stuff, right? So that's what it is. Uh, Simple patterns which you can use to get more out of your LLM call, and then putting this into production by sticking it to your backend pipeline. If you want, you can go to GitHub, to this project, and then you can see all the code that I use. Thank you.